Everybody, welcome back. In the last video I showed you how I did the top to an accent table that I'm making for my wife. If you haven't seen that video, click the link below. It'll take you through the steps I took to make this thing. There's a part in the video that got left out, and that was me cutting this outer ring here on the countertop behind me here with a router. The process is pretty simple. Just made a basic circle cutting jig for the router. Started with a pin in the middle of it and stuck the router on top, and then just followed around the inside and the outside edges and cut it really cleanly in a perfect circle for me. So in this video we're going to make the legs for this tabletop. It's going to take a little bit of work on the bandsaw and the table saw. We're going to have to cut a taper first and then move over to the bandsaw and then cut kind of a, I don't even know what kind of design it's called, but anyway, it's got a swoop to it, so we're going to do that. So anyway, follow along, let's go do this thing. So the legs are all squared up now. They're 1 7/8 by 27 inches long, so that'll make for a 28-inch total height on the table. The legs are going to get a taper cut that starts at 1 inch from the bottom and comes all the way up to about 3 inches from the top here. And this taper is just a straight taper all the way down. The side, however, is going to have some curves to it. So the bottom has a little foot here. It's about 1 inch wide at the base. Sweeps back this direction, and then it comes up, and then it sweeps back out this way, but just on the front side. The back side is going to stay straight up, and it comes all the way back up to the top again. First, I'm going to cut these tapers down the front, and that'll be done on the bandsaw. Once they're cut off, I'll take this side, tape it down so that I keep this template here, and then I'll cut this on the bandsaw as well. In the top section of the skirt, I'm debating on how I'm going to do this, but I'm thinking of doing a sliding dovetail right in here and then on the other side, so the skirt will then come in to the side here and then slide down into it, and that should hold the skirt and the legs together really firmly. Anyway, so here we go, off to the bandsaw. So first trip down the bandsaw is complete. That cut there made a taper from way down here at the bottom all the way up to the top, and I'll do the same thing on the other side. Then took those scrap pieces, stuck them back on there. That way I can follow this template right here. So, and a little pro tip here, use clear packing tape. That way you can see your lines as you cut instead of taping over them. Alright, so all the bandsaw work is done. Last cut this profile on the inside and on the back, or on the front and the back I should say. And now that that's done, we can take these side pieces off. And what we're left with is a tapered leg. Tapers down either side, and then from the side profile you got this nice curve going all the way through, and then a little taper here, or a little curve right here on the back side. Next thing is going to be to take the ends here and get these sliding dovetails cut. I think that's the way I'm going to go. And I'm going to try to do this one all by hand, just with a saw, hand saw, and chisels. So wish me luck. Here we go. So, got all the dovetails cut in the tops of the legs. Some of them are better than others, but they're all pretty good. Good enough for, well, good enough for me anyway. So, next up is to plane down the sides of these things, get them nice and flat, and then take it over to the belt sander and get this curved taper all sanded up and get it smoothed out. There's still going to be a lot more finish sanding later on, but for right now this is just going to be kind of the rough sanding and the rough final shaping. So anyway, here we go.
So when I'm hand planing his legs, I'm trying to get them dead flat, but I'm trying to keep that taper consistent as well. So what I'm watching for is right up here, I've got a pencil line. I don't think you can see it in the camera. There's a small pencil line here that's supposed to be the beginning of the taper. And it comes all the way down to the other end here. So when I'm hand planing, there's a high spot right here where the bandsaw came out. So I'll start knocking this bit right here down, and then as it gets a little bit closer to this line, I'll start feathering out this direction, and then I'll flatten all the way up. And I'll just keep on going until that line just disappears. And when that happens, I know my taper is consistent from here all the way down to the end. And there you go. Line's gone, taper starts right at that line, or where it was anyway.
And now for the fun part, sanding all of these things. Okay, so with that, the legs are done. Well, kind of done. They're rough sanded, but they're fully shaped and profiled, so all the hard work with them is done. It's just going to take a lot more elbow grease with some sandpaper to really get them down to their full finished look. All the dovetails are fitting pretty good. Test piece slides into them with a little bit of effort. So when I do the skirt, I'll make sure to cut the tails for the skirt just a little bit oversized, and then hand fit each one to each specific dovetail here. That way I don't have any gaps and it's not all wiggly. So speaking of the skirt, so there's two ways to do something like this skirt. It's 3 inches thick, and it's going to have the same curve as the tabletop has. And to do that, I've got two options. I can either cut it out of a really large thick piece of walnut or bend them. So with cutting them like that, there's a couple issues with this. I don't have a piece of walnut that's 3 inches thick. That's the height of the skirt. And so to do that, I'd have to glue up a couple pieces. Well, then you're going to see that change in grain across the face of these skirts. And it's just not a look I want to go for. I want to make this as clean as I possibly can here. So cutting it out of a large chunk, out of the question. The other option is to bend these things. So with bending wood, there's two ways to do it. The first is steam bending. Steam bending has been used for centuries. It's a tried and true method. Problem with steam bending is that one, it has a lot of spring back after you take it off the form. Two, it creates one hell of a mess. You have to have a steam box and a steamer, stick the wood in there, and then pull it out, clamp it to a piece, and let it dry. The other option is to do a laminate bend. So with laminate bending, what you're doing is you're taking multiple thin strips of wood, gluing them up around a form, and as that glue dries, it holds each one of those strips together and locks them in that place. You don't have to worry about moisture getting to it and changing it over time. And because they're thinner strips, you don't have to worry about it cracking as much. I've had good luck doing this. Did this with my son's bed and his crib. The back of the bed is like a sleigh style, so it's got this long curve towards the top of it, and that was made with 3 1/8-inch thick layers of walnut, about 6 inches wide, glued up over a form. After I popped them off the form, there was virtually no kickback. I think it maybe had like 1/8 of an inch, so that's next to nothing. So, and they've held their shape over time. I haven't seen any kind of deflection in this wood. So that's definitely the way I'm going to go. So if you like this video, hit the like button, and if you're new, please subscribe to the channel. I'm hoping to get more and more videos going, maybe at a quicker pace, and try to make something out of this channel. So anyway, stay tuned. Next video is coming.